4 o'clock, ready to call the Parks and Recs Committee to order. Just a second. Okay, request for self-confirmation that Kansas Open Meeting Act required notice has been properly served.
It was.
Thank you, Morgan. Roll call, please.
Ann Zimmerman.
Denny Walgren.
Bruce Richardson.
Larry Pencratz.
And just want to say we do have a quorum. We have four members here of our 7 total, and that is qualify as a quorum.
Thank you, sir. We have any guests here?
We have one individual here behind me who is part of an item under new business, but I don't believe we have any other guests.
Okay. So does he go now, or
He'll be
No, under new business.
new business? Okay.
He's with the alcohol thing.
Okay, Citizens Forum.
I have to give you my name, Linda Reynolds, and I'm just here to give you guys kudos for Barkley Park. I don't know if you know how many dogs are up there all the time. It's very well used. However, it's getting a little dark now. You've got 4 lights up there that are solar. Only 2 of them work. Maybe we could get the other 2 to work, because it is used a lot and people are there since it's getting. But I wanted to tell you that that place is great, and that's where I'm going right now with my dog. Thank you.
Thank you. Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
We should vote.
We need to vote on it.
Need to vote on it, sorry. We don't need to vote.
all-
1, 2, 3, 4.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of minutes.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Activity reports, please.
As I've normally done in the past, I'm just going to hit some of the highlights for the month of October. And if you have questions about other items that I don't talk about, or what I do talk about, feel free to ask. Under parks, I've talked about before replacing lumber on picnic tables and benches. We have completed the park benches, lumber replacements, and the tennis court at Kenwood Park. The park staff were asked to put a base coat to seal the concrete before painting the mural, and that we got accomplished. And also we did work on the trail at Burke Park to add limestone screenings to the trail prior to the Crossroads Marathon. This is the time of year, and I remember saying this exact same phrase, I think last year at this time, this is the year the landscaping staff puts lots of things to bed. No pun intended.
Are you meaning this month or this year? This time of year. Okay, good.
Yes, this time of year.
Okay, thank you.
Putting things to bed regarding landscaping, and but also addressing the areas at the tennis site. That we have some areas that were washed out through the spring and summer that we addressed this fall or this October at the tennis complex. Under cemetery, the columbarium has been spoken for, the C2 columbarium. And you can see it.
What's that mean?
There's 4 of them up there, right?
Yeah, Dennis says yes.
Yes.
So this just means this is number 2.
Number 2, we had 4. The number 2 sold out here this year.
And this is where the cremated people, it's the
Yeah.
big wall thing?
Columbariums,
Okay.
yeah, the-
Right.
My future home of residence.
Did you just buy one out this week, or?
So does that mean one was already spoken for, and then we're on two, and then it goes, does it go?
No,
consequent-
you can purchase out of any four. So if you're interested, we go up there with you, or you go out and pick one out, and you can buy from any of them.
But you can't buy any more from two.
2 is sold out.
Okay, all right, thank
Yeah.
you.
And you can see the picture there of the Iron Street entrance sign. And I believe in 2024, we'll have another sign similar to that sign for the Marymount entrance.
So people are just dying to get in?
Yeah.
I was waiting, Jeff, come on.
Okay.
Under Animal Services, you'll see some of these items that were on here twice because Animal Services reports that air conditioning units were installed in the garage and the garage floor was sealed. That was completed by our facility maintenance staff. Under their items, it has a similar item under facility maintenance because they perform that work. Course conditions at the golf course. The 4A Girls State Championship was a success, many positive comments, and the economic impact that that kind of event brings to our community. Let's see. The golf course staff, there's a housing development going in by the number 6 tee box. Golf course staff came to us to talk about improving drainage. They believe that the housing development will increase the amount of water going through the course, and they proposed a drainage improvement. There's already a drain there, but they want to improve it and make the drain larger.
That's off of the Grand Prairie, is that right?
I don't know the street name,
Well, no,
but I believe it's in that area. Yeah.
The development's, I think, called Grand Prairie.
I keep on thinking of the street name, Bentry, I think.
He says yes.
Recreation, and I'll let Travis talk about it, but it was a really well-attended event for Kansas Recreation and Park Association, the workshop that he held and he hosted, so I want to let him talk about that.
Yes, I'm not going to read all this to you, but our normal things, but had a few new and unique things. The first one is the KRPA workshop. We're all members of Kansas Parks and Recreation Association, and I just served on a committee there. Hey, what can we do, something unique, and to bring to Salina? And there was a purpose behind this, to show them our newly renovated facilities and to show them some of our deteriorating facilities or what issues we deal with. So there was around 65 of them that attended. We brought in a gentleman. He is full of energy, and he had the knowledge that we were after as far as fixing turf, fixing grass areas, fixing ball fields, fixing playgrounds, and he could have been speaking to this day. He can go on and on, so he's very good. Brought him in. I as Jeff mentioned, I thought it was a well worth the time and the effort. We did host a session in the morning and discuss some things in a session format. I provided a picture there, and then we went out and visited facilities like Bill Burke. We went to our new pickleball complex that's about done, getting closer. We went to Dean Evans' Berkeley family and to show some of the drainage issues we do face their soccer complex. So it was nice to get them out. And then we brought in vendors like Toro and vendors like that. ATG was out there to show the turf at Dean Evans. So good workshop. Heard a lot of compliments about it. So. Other than that, we're just very busy with our fall activities. I listed those, our normal ones. One item to note, we keep bringing in new events, and that's the whole idea for the field house and those to return the next year. This fall, we brought in the homeschool for Wichita. Don't really know their situation, but they keep coming up here. They hosted a volleyball tournament, and then they're hosting a basketball tournament up here this winter. So they plan on, I already have them booked for next year. Our Halloween event, that was a good one. We were the one shop in town. If you remember, it was pretty cold that day, and we were the only indoor event going on that day. So, and it showed. I'm glad we booked the whole facility for that event. That was a change. We didn't just book one area. We booked the whole facility, and we needed that space. So that was a well-attended event. Other than that, I think I mentioned last meeting about a new fall baseball league, the Yard Runs. So that was a success. They had 43 teams on mainly Sundays, and they're already working up how they're going to change and get better for next year. So that was something new. And then we did finish our outdoor season softball-wise with 2 good tournaments out at Bill Burke. One we didn't have scheduled, and Manhattan had some facility issues, and most of that tournament moved here, and then most of those teams weren't aware of our renovations, and we're very impressed. So hopefully we gain some new teams out of that deal. Other than that, maybe Dennis can speak to this and appreciate this, to shut down outdoor facilities towards Halloween. So that's our goal, is to shut most of the facilities down, and we were able to accomplish that.
So did you all support the marathon quite a bit?
Our inputs are pretty minor. We provide trash cans. We put those trash cans out. We take them back after the event. We have, I think for safety reasons, we want to make sure the trail is in good condition, the areas that Parks is responsible for. We also, I'm at a loss. I thought I had something else, but I don't. Like I stated, our inputs are pretty minimal. The tree trimming. We provide some tree trimming for certain areas where they have a bicycle group that goes through the course maybe a week or 2 out and make sure they identify anything that is of a concern for a runner, and we address those. And
I went through 4 of your parks.
yes, I believe 4. Yeah.
We did host our Sharp Performance hosted a basketball camp that very same day, and then it occurred to us we may have to have some parking issues. So a lot of those parents did. Our drop-off lane came in really handy because they can drop the kiddos off and then go find a place to park, because it was pretty combustive down there for parking.
The start was at the Ash and Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Directly a block away. So.
Yeah.
Right. That's all I had identified to just bring it to your attention. But if there's certainly something on the activity reports that you want us to go into more detail about, we can.
Okay, so we're ready for new business.
So there's 2 additional sheets to your packet. So there's been an effort citywide to kind of review our city ordinances and city codes. One of those items has been related to alcohol, and alcohol related. It was somewhat ambiguous within our city code how alcohol plays in to certain areas of our city park system. I have the gentleman behind me is Sean Hennessy. He's the assistant city manager. So he's leading this effort to try to formalize this city code and update it so it's a little more clear and not as ambiguous, and to give direction to staff about what should be permitted, what should be prohibited, and what would require a special use permit for alcohol relating to park areas. And not only that, he's looking at it from a whole city perspective, not just a parks perspective. We felt it was in our best interest and in the city's best interest, from our recommendations of park staff, to have the advisory board look at what our recommendations are for alcohol relating to various park areas. And that was our intent, to try to elicit some discussion relating to. Dan, you got a question?
I'd looked through this before it came, and just out of curiosity, I'm not against this at all. That Bill Burke Memorial Park is prohibited. Is that the reasoning on that is because it deals with mostly younger youth?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is the one, there's one area on here that I wanted to highlight, and that was part of my intent, was to make sure I kind of go through some of our thinking of what are our recommendations for prohibiting or permitting or requiring a special use permit. And you're right, Bill Burke Park, as we've done the renovations that we're doing, we really focused in on youth baseball and softball. And we didn't feel that we wanted to recommend that prohibiting alcohol at Bill Burke as part of this effort. The ultimate decision for all these is with the city commission. However, what we wanted to do today was get some feedback from the advisory board and then bring those recommendations or bring those discussion items or those questions to the governing body for consideration. You'll see some areas that are prohibited relating to Kennedy Park, Schilling Park, and Meadowlark Park, because those are parks that are on school grounds. We've always had a practice of prohibiting alcohol at indoor facilities or outdoor facilities, whether it be Kenwood Cove Aquatic Park, Friendship Center, Lakewood Discovery Center. So that practice would continue to be prohibited. And the field house as well for indoor facility. So this would be by ordinance, by city code, to indicate whether something is prohibited, permitted, or by special use permit. And when we say permitted, Sean can correct me if I'm mistaken in how I say this, is that it's exempt from, it's potentially exempt from the city code.
So I'm curious about the parks that are on school property. Which ones are they? Kennedy, Meadowlark, Schilling?
And Schilling.
Okay, and not Glenifer Hill. That's.
Now, Glenifer Hill is a city-owned lot next to the USD 305 administrative building.
Okay, so the land is owned by the school district, but the park is administered by Parks and Rec?
Correct,
Is that how it is?
by agreement. It is a school district-owned property where there is by agreement, a zoned park area on school ground. Yes.
Okay, thank you. This all looks okay to me. I had one concern about the East Cloud Park, which you can't see it from anywhere unless you're walking out there. And I guess, is there anything?
Right, you're right. You're talking about the Riverwoods nature
Riverwoods.
area.
Yeah, is that what that is?
Yeah.
East Cloud? Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm not going to make a deal out of it, but it was kind of curious to me. I guess you don't need to monitor the use because it's legal to do it there. But anyway, it's kind of a park that nobody can see.
Well, I
unless
think that's
they're in
part of the
building.
ambiguity of our current city ordinance. I couldn't tell you technically if it is allowed or not.
Okay, but this would make it clear.
Correct.
Okay.
Where are you talking about?
It's at the end of Cloud, or the east end of Cloud.
Way down there, okay.
Past the.
Yeah, and then you go down
Ohio
the
Street
dike
Dillons.
and back, okay.
Right, there's
Yeah.
two parking spots there at the end of Cloud. And
Oh, yeah, right. Well, right above it, what's Lincoln Park?
That the-
Lincoln Park is not part of our normal inventoried park, but it is a zoned parkland that's to the near the YMCA.
Is that the new
It's
path
where the
with the river?
trail is at, correct.
The new river trail. Have you been there?
So, yeah, oh, yeah, I've walked.
And not all of it is, a portion of it is Lincoln Park of the trail, of the new trail.
Is that named for somebody, or is that a name that's like? No one knows, huh?
I could not answer your question. I've actually I would say I partially researched that, and I'm going to guess Brett or Dennis have looked it up before, but we could not find anything relating to why it's called that.
Because I know they used to have Well, in Manhattan, they used to have linear park, and just because it was the trail all around the town.
Right.
Now, I think it's called linear trail, but anyway, okay.
You heard it, Dan. Like when it says permitted, does that mean like if there's an activity going there and there's food trucks and they can sell beer, or is that not?
Thank you, John.
Because this gets real confusing when you get into this.
It does.
That's why I figured I'd just start asking dumb questions. So,
Now I'm here to hopefully not confuse everyone more, but I want to give you a little bit more background. So the reason why we really are looking at this, well, there's a number of reasons. Currently, we base on our code the restrictions on alcohol based upon a state statute that prohibits alcoholic liquor on public property. Now, alcoholic liquor is different from beer, which is different from cereal malt beverages. And this is something that you have to really wrap your head around at first. So, because I know, and he's over here laughing because him and I lost quite a few brain cells trying to figure this out over quite a while. So, cereal malt beverages is 3.2% alcohol. That's kind of a legacy of the old 3.2% beer, which used to be in Kansas, but which is no longer manufactured, but it's still in the state statutes. Then you have beer, and that's essentially beer that's more than 3.2% alcohol. And then you have alcoholic liquor, which is essentially anything else. And alcoholic liquor includes beer, just to make it more confusing. But beer is a separate classification, but beer is an alcoholic liquor. The state statutes restrict on public property all alcoholic liquor. So that means everything and beer above 5%, but not on for 3.2 cereal malt beverages. And they do still make, not intentionally like they used to. They used to make, for example, your Budweiser beer would be 5%. They would make a 3.2 version. They don't make that anymore, but there is a number of beers, craft beers and otherwise, which are 3.2% alcohol or less. And so we were in the situation where technically anywhere on public property you could drink cereal malt beverages. So that's kind of where we're at. And it took quite a bit of going through the statutes, figuring out the processes, and getting to this point. What we wanted to do was make it very clear to anyone. In regards to your first question, sorry to make this more confusing, this is just for consumption. This is not for sale or anything like this. And this is only on public property. This is not anything to do with bars or grocery stores or anything like that. So to get back to the earlier point, cereal malt beverages. So we didn't have the only restrictions on cereal malt beverages in the city are on the streets. In order to drink a cereal malt beverage, you have to have a special use permit. And that's essentially the only restrictions on cereal malt beverages which are in place. And again, this is only on public property. Well, we're in a situation where we had the state statutes and our code saying one thing. We had basically the way we've been operating for many years, which wasn't always in direct compliance with the code and the state statutes. And then you had what we'd like to see. And the chart that you're seeing here is what we'd like to see. And so what we did was we treat all alcohol the same. This is a nightmare from a police perspective, trying to say, well, is that beer or is it CMB? How do you differentiate these two? And so what we wanted to do, we got input from the city commission, and they said, let's just treat everything the same. And so what we did was talk with the Parks Department, get their input, but we wanted to get your input. And this obviously strongly impacts the parks, but again, it's all public property. So this includes the plazas, other public buildings, not this building because it's a separate entity, but you would argue, yes, it is a public property. We won't even get into that legal question, which is, but this is just for really the public property. It include general services, the police station, a lot of others. We wanted to have a standard that was very clear to articulate and that we would be able to clearly let people know that. Unfortunately, we're still dealing with the state statutes, which we can't modify. So, and I don't tell you this to mean to confuse you more. So permitted means you can consume alcohol in those places. In order to make it permitted, we have to exempt ourselves from the state statute. So what you do is, the state statute says, no alcoholic liquor, again, not CMBs, no alcoholic liquor on public property unless accepted. And so what you have to do is in your code, you adopt a code that says these places are exempted from the state statute. So if you hear somebody say these locations, and when this goes before the city commission, it'll say these places are going to be exempted. Exempted means permitted in this context, because we're exempting ourselves from that prohibition from the state statute. So again, I apologize if it's somewhat confusing, but we're just trying to make it clear to anyone who's looking at this what is and is not allowed. But we're constrained by the state statutes.
So it sounds like streets are just off. Is that still true?
No, so what we've done is streets, if you look
Oh,
on.
public streets, I see, special use permit.
Yeah,
Other
and
locations.
that's for special use permits, essentially because they're specifically voted on by the city commission or otherwise. Essentially, that's a one-time exemption for that location, for a block party or whatever the reason is. So you can do that via a special use permit.
So what you just, that was one of my questions. So if it's a block party, then they can have alcohol on the streets?
If they
Yes,
did it.
if they have a permit that has been granted for that, yes,
Right.
yes. And again, luckily, this chart is much smaller because you didn't have the three categories of what the law is, what we're doing, and what we'd like it to do. What you're seeing is just what we're proposing to change this to, because it gets very confusing trying to go from this to this to this to this. And so, and again, we're just trying to make this as simple, because we want the public to be able to understand it too, because that's one of the things that I think is very important. Wherever the location is very clear, and we can have then a list of what is and locations are and are not allowed, et cetera. So.
Has there been any problems like with these? I know, because we have a lot of block parties around where, you know, they didn't have a permit and there was alcohol involved, or, I mean, is that anything to?
I don't think we've had any problems with block parties, to my knowledge, or anything like that. This is really, cleaning up the code, making it clear, being consistent. I think that's very important. So again, people are kind of aware of it, and that's really the major focus.
If I can add, in the meetings, when we've had several meetings, we've had like municipal court join us, we've had PD join us, because in all this, he mentioned, is that enforcement is a big thing. So in that middle column of the chart that he was talking about, what we did may not match what is legal, but it's all about enforcement. And if we weren't enforcing it, there's no issue. So in those cases where there's a block party and there's alcohol, if it could be that we just weren't enforcing anything, whereas this kind of, marks it out. Now we have something we can say, judge, did you get a special event permit, and go from there. But before, it was kind of a gray area, because we just were kind of operating as, we've always done it this way, and not necessarily what we should have been doing. So.
And again, I mean, could you imagine if you're an officer trying to enforce this? Well, is that 3.2 beer or is it 3.4% beer? It just becomes impossible to differentiate. And especially with the wide variety of different alcoholic liquors and cereal malt beverages, I've trained my mind to think separately about them now, trying to define one or the other as far as, is this distilled versus fermented versus, it goes on and on and on. So that's why we wanted to make it a lot clearer, and essentially we just treat them all the same classes. We don't differentiate in the alcohol.
I do have a question, actually, and just a scenario actually to throw by you. If you look at Dean Evans Stadium or BFRA, we do have the USD, the schools, that they definitely don't want alcohol cells are in the facility during that time. But then I'm currently conversing with a semi-pro team. Obviously, they're interested in maybe providing. Do they have to have a special alcohol permit to sell there then during their events?
So, yeah, what this ordinance, when it's brought before the city commission, would specifically exempt that location at all times. If it's not exempted in the ordinance, in order to be able to have that there, again, it's different from selling. That's a whole, we're not even getting into that whole issue of a license for single malt beverages to sell, or et cetera, et cetera. If it's not permitted on this list / exempted, then you would have to get a special use permit. And you can
Gotcha.
get a special use permit for any of these other locations, but you're gonna have to get a special use permit that says we're gonna consume alcohol, then that has to go through the process to be approved by the city commission.
Yeah.
So another scenario is, Carver Center, Friendship, or Indian Rock, they have an event outside that has alcohol, but they're also rented the facility. Is that going to be posted into the facilities that they can't have alcohol? I mean, to help the law enforcement, because that would be a tough.
I mean, if we're prohibiting it in Carver Center or Friendship Center, then yes, we have
And
to.
Indian Rock, I think that would be the one that there'd be stuff there, and from my experience. So, okay, I assume that anything that would be prohibited, I mean, even in Kennedy might throw people off, because a lot of people, how many people know that they're on school district office, areas, so anything that's on the school district would be like, okay, well, I didn't know that, I thought it was a park, city park, so I think it just to help with law enforcement, it would be nice to, as much as I hate signs in parks, I think you just have to help the people out to remember that.
And do you want to talk a little bit about the glass too, or?
I'm not sure what I'm. Are we
Glass
including
containers, yeah.
glass? Yes. Are we including glass in the updated ordinance?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's the
so-
intent, yeah.
Yes. Then we obviously have a problem with glass and broken glass. I guess it's not obvious, but we have had issues with people having glass containers, breaking those glass, and then finding glass in public areas, specifically parks. And then that was part of our intention as well, was to address that in the city code to prevent glass containers, specifically for alcohol, in the parks as well.
There's also a problem with plastic in the parks, but at least you don't cut your foot on it.
Right. Or it doesn't get hit by a lawnmower, and the glass bottle getting hit by a lawnmower could potentially do some damage.
So we need a motion to approve this list, or is that what we're looking for?
I believe that was the direction that Mike provided this morning, was a recommendation to move forward with, to give to the governing body.
I'll make the motion that we go along with what's on the,
On the agenda,
on here, and then forward that on to the city commission.
Second?
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. There it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
This is,
Project updates.
Clear, it's right there.
I mean, there's gotta be some.
So we have some project updates for you. I walked the pickleball area this morning at Oakdale Park, and it's moving right along. Painting is completed. We're waiting. We have a lead time issue on the delivery of our perimeter gates and our court gates. They were delayed, and once we get those court gates and the perimeter gates up, we will be able to. I believe we'll be able to have a kind of be at our significant completion for that project and open that up to the public. Then we would do a kind of a punch list of items that we need them to address. but I believe we're a few weeks out, maybe 2 weeks out from opening. I couldn't give an official date yet as to when the opening date is. It's our intention to have a small grand opening or a small public event to invite the public out. I haven't really pursued it yet, but as a department, we wanted to make some paddles and some balls available to try to encourage public play. Travis's staff has been working on a reservation system through our software, which will be a free reservation if someone wishes to have a reservation for pickleball, to make sure they get that court. Dennis's staff is working on a reservation board so we can post those reservations. Again, it does not prevent someone from simply just walking up and walking on and playing. That's the intent of the pickleball courts, is to for them not to be locked and be able to walk on and play. Speaking of locking them, the only time they would be locked is during a special event permit of the Smoky Hill River Festival. We do lock up traditionally the tennis courts that were there during that event, and we would continue doing the same during the River Festival for pickleball.
Jeff, just and KKOA, correct?
I believe, I'm sorry, yes, it gets, we do prohibit use during KKOA, so there'll be a blocked off reservation for those two events to prevent reservations from occurring. Yeah, if the pickleball enthusiast group in town wishes to have a tournament, we would assist them with that reservation. There'd also need to be a public component there to make sure the public is aware that there is a tournament going on that potentially could impact their ability to walk on and play. Tennis bathrooms, we are about 40% completed with that project. They're have the rough-ins for plumbing done, the rough-ins for electric are done. There's a concrete slab in there. There was, before there was just a hole in the ground where the plumbing was put in, but there's a concrete slab for the bathrooms for the tennis facility at Kenwood Park. And we are working to prepare the tennis bathrooms for fixtures, partitions, and epoxy floor. We did have some a problem with the ceiling we found. The ceiling was not in good shape in one of the bathrooms, so we had to demo the ceiling, and we have to do some work there. Oakdale Skating Pond on December 6th, so it's December 13th, I'm sorry, just this past Monday.
November,
What month did I say?
December.
December. So sorry. I'm getting my meetings confused. I have upcoming commission action meetings in December, and just recently, we'll say that, just recently, we have a approved project from the governing body to demolish the former skating rink at the Oakdale Park, and that'll most likely occur after Thanksgiving, or start after Thanksgiving. And then we'll prepare that for a future improvement, whatever that may look like, but we'll be seeding that with grass and converting it to a open grass space. And just today or yesterday, Bill Burke project started for fencing improvements and concrete sidewalk improvements and various dugout improvements, shade structures, and the like at Bill Burke Park. So. Is there any questions about any of those projects?
Just like on the pickleball courts, the reservation aspect, is the app up and going now or not? Okay.
You said the app?
The app to reserve courts. But once that is, then
I'm
it
not
would
familiar with the app.
Oh,
I
yes.
mean, we have a reservation system within our department.
Okay.
But
then you put up
it is available mobily. That website.
That's
if that's what
okay.
you're-
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. That didn't
I
say
know
that.
I know the app you're referring to. That's not something I was intending on using.
then you'd put up a sign like you do for some of the shelter houses and that type of thing then? Just out of curiosity.
We do have signage being installed here soon to indicate the court numbers. And we have a reservation board on the tennis bathrooms, the former tennis bathrooms at Oakdale, to indicate the reservations.
Okay.
There was a reservation board up there previously for tennis that hadn't been used for some time, but they would probably go in a similar location on that bathrooms facility near the pickleball courts.
Okay. Going to backtrack just a little bit
Oh, yeah.
on that Parks and Master Plan.
Yes, so for last month, I provided you with a study session that I delivered to the city commission twice. Matter of fact, I started in one meeting and finished in another. And I provided a copy of that presentation to you, and I really put it on there as an old agenda item, old business item, to see if you had any questions from that report, because it was about 56 pages. There was a lot of content in there, and I wanted to see if you had any questions, that's all. Bless you.
Thank you.
Are there any general announcements?
I do not have any.
Make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Glad we had a quorum.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for showing up, Denny.
Hey, it was